Welcome to the Oasis State podcast. Cheers for tuning in. This podcast is dedicated to educating and empowering women to step into their self-love infused power. As a woman, there are so many nuances that influence our relationship with self. Join me as I share my personal experiences with and deep understanding of mindset development, energetics, and self-mastery. I will help you deconstruct societal conditioning and your own outdated beliefs through a lighthearted, playful lens of perception. I will introduce you to tools that will help you redefine your interaction with life, powerfully manifest your wildest dreams, and enjoy every step along the way. Let this podcast guide and support you as you make the commitment to remember your magic within. This is your self-empowerment pep talk. Hello, gorgeous soul, and welcome back to the Oasis State podcast. I am your host, Zoe Rose Carey. Cheers for tuning in, guys. How are we? I feel like that response to that question would be quite mixed at the moment, and that is kind of a segue into the topic that we're going to talk about for episode 6 of this podcast. I had an outline for the episode I had intended ready to go to record today, but I just, after having reaching out to a friend and having a bit of a chat to her about what's going on in her current experience, I've decided to create this episode around how to navigate hard times and emotional overwhelm, because I'm just noticing such a theme lately, and it's obvious to everyone basically. Sorry, is what I'm trying to say, is that just such a theme of struggle and survival mode and confusion and curveballs and all of this stuff being thrown at us. And I just felt like it was a really good time to put to create an episode for anyone that just needs a little bit of a shining light right now, for anyone that needs an extra self-empowerment boost. And I just wanted to dedicate this episode to acknowledging the hard times that we've all been through in the past 2 years, because you'd be kidding yourself if you said you haven't struggled in the last 2 years. So if you've been experiencing setbacks, if you've been feeling more sensitive to your current experience, this episode is for you. I will be acknowledging some of the common themes of struggle that I've experienced and many others have experienced in the last few years, and I'll give you guys some mindset and holistic tips to help you soothe your experience with struggle. As I probably already mentioned, I just wanted this episode to be a companion for anyone that just needs some extra support, some extra feelings of being held right now. Like, I just want you to know that I see you, I feel you, and I'm here for you, because I feel like I'm right beside you sometimes going through this exact same experience. And so, hopefully this episode serves as a tool, constructive tool, and a companion for anyone that needs it right now, because life is going to be hard at times. We're going to go through struggles. We're going to go through tough times. We're going to experience emotional overwhelm, and that's just part of the human experience. So it's actually kind of our resistance to those struggles and hard times that can cause more suffering. So hopefully this episode can help you feel a bit lighter and educate you about how to navigate these times, because I'm not here to sell sunshine and rainbows to you, because you will go through hard times. If you haven't in the last 2 years or haven't before, you will encounter challenges in your life. And it's just about shifting our mindset and understanding that these times are there to help us discover something more about ourselves, to learn a bit more, to grow, to shift, to expand. And if we had everything amazing and comfortable and handed to us on a silver platter all the time, it wouldn't be character building. So it's shit. But it's realistic that we're going to have hard times, basically. And I have dealt with my absolute fair share of them over the past 2 years, and my life as well. And I'm not creating this episode to be a pity party. I think it's episode 3. I talk about being in your victimhood mentality. So, any of these struggles that I mentioned throughout this episode are not an invitation for any sympathy or empathy. Or empathy is nice, but I don't need sympathy because every single challenge that I've encountered has just given me the biggest blessing, the biggest shift, the biggest change that I needed at the time. But I'm just mentioning the struggles so that you guys know that I'm right beside you, just navigating this collective I want to say fuckery. I'm going to say it. This collective shit show that we've been given the last 2 years. And sorry for my language, but yeah, if anyone has been conscious for the last 2 years, it has just been an absolute time. um, I've definitely, through my personal experiences and observations and conversations I've had with friends and family, my clients, my community. I was going to say my confusion. Yeah, I am a bit confused. My community, I've noticed this common trend of survival mode, and it's all part of the process. And I keep saying to people when they're just having these moments where it just seems like life is getting way too hard, and I just keep trying to say to people as a cheerleader for them, like, sometimes things need to get worse before they get better. And I just totally 100% think that is what we're going through right now on a collective level. So collective, I mean everyone's involved in this. Everyone that's conscious on earth is involved with this. So collectively, things might need to get worse before they get better. But I promise you, deep, deep down from the bottom of my heart, that I know things will get better. So, if you are having a common trend of survival mode right now or over the past few years, just know that they seem like setbacks, they seem like curveballs, and they seem like pure what the fuck moments. But they are all part of the greater good and of your opportunity to commit to your evolution, because these hard times create resilience, and they are character building, and they help you step out of your comfort zone and be courageous and change your priorities, etc. So yeah, I just wanted to start this episode by acknowledging that we're all going to go through struggles and we're all going through hard times, myself included, but they are so they're given to us for the right reasons. And even if that doesn't resonate with you right now, I hope me saying that will just plant this seed for you to find some peace of mind with the set of cards that life has dealt you right now if you're going through a hard time. I also firstly just wanted to acknowledge as well that these hard times that we've been going through in the past 2 or so years not only have been more intense than previous years, pre-pandemic, all of this just upside downness that's gone on. Not only are they more intense than that time, they're also more frequent. So, like, there was a time in my life, and I'm hoping it was collectively too, but I wasn't really on that level of zooming out and noticing those things yet. But I just feel like I would have these very mild struggles, and I would still show up for them, and I would learn what I can and surrender to the process and all that kind of stuff. But it just didn't feel as intense me doing that. And it didn't feel like I was doing it as frequently. But like, fuck. Sorry for the language, guys, but it just feels like sometimes I'm just thrown the biggest lessons like 50 times a day. So if you're going through the same thing, I see you, I feel you, and I'm here for you. And yeah, again, apologies for the language, but it just is almost like a way to offload the emotions and the stress of the moment. For me, it's a way to shift our perception to a place of lightheartedness, a place to have a giggle, because, like I said, we're gonna have hard times and we're gonna go through phases of emotional overwhelm, and you just have to go into that with the lightest heart that you can. So that's where the laughter is coming from. That's where the funny language and descriptions are coming from, because, yeah, I am so committed to showing up even in these ickier times with a playful, lighthearted lens. Because if you just can't do that and you can't surrender that control and that seriousness, then you're just going to suffer so much more through these hard times. So, yeah, just a little disclosure statement about the nature of the rest of the episode. Um, so yeah, as I mentioned, the times for in my personal experience and observations have been more intense, and they've also been more frequent. So I'm not sure if anyone else can kind of relate to that, but that's what my experience has been. So we were already living in an overstimulating society before this pandemic happened, and I mentioned the pandemic because there's so much more fear and anxiety in the air than there ever has been. So, what I mean, firstly, I go back. I'm going to go back. Sorry, by an overstimulating society, I mean that we're just go 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 all the time, and as women, we're so ingrained and pressured to be on the go all the time that we don't allow this space for our to process a hard time or a struggle or allow for an emotional overflow because that's what's happening at the moment. So we were already living in an environment, an overstimulating society that didn't hold space for tough times, really. It was just like sweep it under the rug, keep going, full survival mode, full flight or flight mode, like just totally dysregulated nervous systems. So we were already living in a society like that. And then we've been handed this absolute shit show of events over the past 2 years. Like, we have experienced more fear, anxiety, and uncertainty than our nervous systems were ever designed to handle. You know what I mean? So, if struggling feels like the theme you've had for many of your days or most of your days, please just know that it is so okay and that it just means you're showing up for the human experience because it is collectively commonly what's happening. So you're not doing anything wrong. There's nothing you need to be doing differently. Maybe actually by the end of this episode you'll be like, maybe I need to do this differently to help my suffering, to like ease my suffering, because there are a lot of ways that we can soften and soothe this experience of the hard times, because it's not about going out and trying to avoid the hard times or ignore the hard times or change the hard times. It's about redeveloping our relationship and our response. So notice that didn't say reaction because that's quite a fiery, unconscious way to respond, react to something. And I've chosen to say response because we do have, even in a time that makes us feel so powerless and so fear stricken, we do have the power to choose our response to this uncertainty, to the curveballs, to the anxiety that's been instilled in our day to day life. So, yeah, it's totally okay if you're having this experience. A lot of people are, and we're in this together. So that's why I wanted to create this episode, just so anyone out there that's feeling like they are doing this by themselves, you are not. I am here for you. We are here for you. We are all doing this together. So, yeah, basically, little recap, the hard times have been more intense and more frequent in the last 2 years than our nervous system is designed to handle. So, yeah, like you think about, lions have nervous systems and bears and lions and tigers and bears, like a little Wizard of Oz reference there that I wasn't planning to say, but yo, we did it anyway. Yeah, you'll see obviously like these animals are out in the wild and they're in their survival mode and fight and flight, etc. But they will only experience pockets of danger. So, a gazelle might have to run away from a lion, but they escape and it's like shit, yeah, they get to live another day. But they have a chance to find a safe space in the savannah, often, their habitat, to regulate their nervous system again. And you may notice when you're watching nature shows, what do I call them? Like nature documentaries, um, that after an interaction like that, so it might be a fight between two lions or a lion chases a gazelle, that these animals will kind of shake their body afterwards, like physically move and shake their body. And this is actually a healthy, energetic movement to shift the anxiety and the fear and the stress response. So, like the hormonal stress response that's happening in their body from that moment where the lion is chasing the gazelle. So, the gazelle has a huge spike in cortisol, which dysregulates our nervous system because it's a fight or flight response. We fully have to just, the gazelle just has to get away from the lion. But after they do this energetic shake, they will make a conscious effort, conscious? Yeah, yeah, conscious effort to go and find a safe space in their environment to relax because they're probably going to be very physically exhausted after this spike in anxiety and fear, and to help them regulate their nervous systems again. It's funny that animals just so intuitively know how to do that. But as humans, we've created this overstimulating environment that does not allow us to slow down, does not allow us the space to process the experience and regulate our nervous systems again. So I just wanted to mention that if you feel like struggling or struggle or being sensitive to your experience is more common these days for you, it's true. Like it's because it's happening. We're not allowing enough space for our nervous system to regulate after we've had all of these health scares with the pandemic, and we've got international wars going on, and in my particular area, I live in the Northern Rivers in Australia, which is on the north coast of New South Wales. We've had two major natural disasters in the last 2 months, or maybe three now, last 3 months. And we had our basic needs completely taken away from us. So if your house wasn't flooded and you were one of those people like myself that was lucky enough to be able to go and help and volunteer and help our neighbors, dig themselves out of the mud, we ran out of food, we ran out of money, we ran out of petrol and everything. And I've never ever thought in my lifetime that I would have my basic needs taken away from me. So we've experienced so much fear and anxiety in so many different areas of our life. Like I mentioned, we're going through a pandemic, which is like a health fear, and then we've had these natural disasters, which is another survival fear, and then myself personally as well. In the last 2 years, I've had so many roadblocks and so many curveballs with my ability to earn an income. It has been so stressful because my basic needs have been threatened, because I've had weeks where I'm like, fuck, can I pay rent? Can I afford food? Because I was living in an area where we closed a border in Australia between Queensland and New South Wales, and it severely affected my ability to work, like so many other people around me. As I mentioned, I'm not mentioning my struggles for sympathy. I'm just trying to mention it as a way for you to relate, because I don't want this podcast to just be educational and yeah, like not a way to connect with me and feel a way to relate to what you're going through and what I'm going through. So I had so much fear and so much anxiety in different areas of my life, as I mentioned, like not being able to honestly, like every single week I'd line up some work and a new client and all this, and it would all fall apart, and no matter how hard I tried, I could just not get my earning potential up there. So, little side note, that's why I decided to start Oasis State and my own business, because I was like, the last 2 years has taught me I just cannot rely on anything else other than myself. And I'm not saying that in this like kind of closed off like warrior energy. It may be a little bit of warrior energy, but not in this closed off way like I don't have support, no one can help me. But I just learnt my lesson in so many painful instances um last year and over the last 2 years, that I need to be at the forefront of my life experience and in that driver's seat. So that's why I started a business, because people might be like, oh, that's so unstable. And it's like, try holding down a stable income in the last 2 years with businesses and especially small businesses closing down. Or I went into contracting work and I had clients that were like, I can't afford you this week. And I'm like, I get it. I fully get it. It's okay. So I started a business because on my personal journey, that is the most stable thing that I can be doing right now. So everyone is different, but I'm just kind of mentioning like in the last 2 years, I've been through a lot of struggles as well. I'm not asking for your sympathy because I'm not clicking into not clicking into survival mode and victimhood mentality. I'm right there with you guys. That's all I'm trying to say. I'm like some days just thrown such a shit show of things that I need to figure out. And if you have committed to your self mastery journey, or you're a conscious person or a highly sensitive person, it is so hard at the moment. And I'm not actually here to like tell you, oh, it's all going to be better, because I've been kind of living by the mantra, things may get worse before they get better. Excuse me, and they may get worse in the next few years. So I'm not here to say, oh my God, tomorrow everything is going to be fine, because things still may need to crumble, including like entire systems, like educational systems, health systems, etc. Things that don't serve us now need to fall apart. So to create space for better things to come together. So that's just why another reason why I wanted to do this episode is because you may still experience so much more fear and anxiety and uncertainty in the next few years or few months or few weeks, whatever life has got in store for you. I just want you to feel like you're equipped to actually handle it, because I'm not here with some happy forecast saying, yo, tomorrow everything is going to be fine. By the way, I don't know why I keep saying yo. I've never said yo, but in this episode, it was really just flowing out. So yay, I'm just going to go with it. So yeah, I am an ever optimistic person. Don't get me wrong, but I just don't want to come on here and be like, just think positively and everything will be fine, because it has been really, really hard, guys, in my personal experience and everyone's around me, my community, and on a collective level. There's just been so much density right now. So if you're experiencing that, it is okay. That you haven't done anything wrong, and things will get better. They may get worse before they get better, but things will get better. So, yeah, we've had in a lot of areas of our life a lot of struggles, a lot of uncertainty thrown at us. But if you listen back to episode 3, I'm such a believer in not clicking into victimhood mentality. And a internal dialogue that will play when you are in that victimhood mentality is, why is this happening to me? And I was encouraging everyone on that episode about stepping into their power and shifting that internal dialogue to be, why is this happening for me? So, why have these struggles happened for me in my personal experience in the last 2 years? These are the things that I've learned from my struggles, and I'm so freaking grateful for every single lesson that I've learned. And I've had some of the hardest days of my entire life in the past few years. I've had really, really dark thoughts. I've had really, really scary emotions, emotional overwhelm, and everything, and just days where I just cannot keep going. So I just really wanted to plug that for you guys, that it has been really, really hard for me. It's been really, really hard for everyone on this entire planet for the last few years. But I just wanted to highlight that I've learnt these lessons from this, and I'm not coming on here to toot my own horn. I just wanted to hopefully show you guys that if you're sitting in this crazy uncertainty and all of these struggles right now, just show up every day as best that you can in those experiences, because there's so much love and joy and growth on the other side of it. So that's just what I wanted to mention. But things I've learnt from my struggles are the importance of prioritizing myself. So I sort of touched on that when I mentioned I've just hit so many roadblocks in the last few years with my ability to earn income. And then on top of that, earn an income by doing something I love, because that's a kind of criteria that so many people don't even bother to include in their relationship with finances is, am I happy with how I call in money? Am I happy with my how I'm earning an income every day? So sorry, that was a bit of a tangent, but the importance of prioritizing myself, I mentioned before when I was saying I was hitting roadblocks with my income, because I was there's so much uncertainty going on the past 2 years. It really helped me give myself permission to focus on myself and my happiness, because I could work my ass off for someone else's version of success in a particular job, because that's essentially what you're doing in a traditional workplace, is committing to someone else's success, like a higher up success, the owner, the CEO, etc. You're committing to their success in a job that I might have lost the next day, because that happened to me so many times in the last 2 years before I started my business. Was I would just get a text or a call like, thanks Zoe, don't come back in, we can't afford you, or there's not a job anymore, etc. And I had to have that struggle of that financial uncertainty and all of those things blowing up in my face so many times, so that I was finally like, oh my God, again, fuck. Like, I'm only prioritizing myself and my happiness, because to me, that was the best version of stability that I could find in such an uncertain time. Like, our the economy was so threatened by the pandemic, and again, as I mentioned, in the community that I lived in, we've been affected by floods. So again, community the ability to earn income was affected in that way again, and just. I'm sure you've experienced the same thing. And if you haven't, wow, that's so awesome. I'm so stoked for you. And I'm not saying that everyone should go out and start their own business for a sense of stability. That is just what's written in my particular journey, and I'm all about you embracing your uniqueness. But the point I had from that was, it's so important to prioritize yourself, because we have learned in the last 2 years how thick and dense the uncertainty is. So if you're not prioritizing yourself, it might be in your job, it might be in self-care, in relationships, in nature, in health, or everything. If you are not prioritizing yourself, please start doing that straight away. Because if any of my struggles in the last 2 years have shown me, is it is so important to prioritize yourself. It is energizing. It is comforting, it is healthy, it is nourishing to prioritize yourself. So please do that. Another important thing that I've learned from my struggles over the past few years is the importance of developing my emotional intelligence, because like I mentioned, and as you know, if you've been alive for the past 2 years, is we have just had such a shit show of events happen for us. And if you are not tapped into your emotional intelligence, or developing your emotional intelligence, you are increasing your suffering in this uncertainty and fear and anxiety tenfold, because you do not understand your emotions. You're not exactly understanding what they are. It's important to create your emotional intelligence, to understand that important distinction, that your emotions are simply an experience and a response to your environment and what's happening in your life, but they are not actually you. And I feel like so many people walk around absolutely terrified of their emotions when they can't actually hurt you. They're just an experience asking to be honored. And to be honored, as they are honored, they can be released. So, I've learned in my struggles over the past 2 years the importance of developing my emotional intelligence, because it has helped me navigate my struggles with so much more grace and openness than I could have if I was terrified of feeling an emotion. So, in a moment, I am going to go through how to navigate emotional overwhelm, because, yeah, it's just so important for all of us to start understanding and developing our emotional intelligence, because, as I mentioned, things might get worse before they get better, and we need to have a really strong, strong development of our emotional intelligence, because it helps you discern exactly how you're feeling. Like, that's such a hard question for so many people to answer. And, you pair that with a rushed, overstimulating environment. People have no idea how they're feeling, and that is your compass. That's your compass to figure out what to do next. It helps you create solutions. It helps you self-soothe. It helps you self-manage, and then that brings you a sense of empowerment too. So, by how understanding how to be resilient and how to self-soothe and all of that, brings you into that state of empowerment. So, it's really been really important for me personally in the last 2 years to develop my emotional intelligence to help me navigate the struggles that have been handed to me. And the last thing, oh, not the last thing I'm going to mention this episode, but there's a endless amount of things that I have learned from my struggles in the past 2 years, which I'm incredibly grateful for. I don't know if I've mentioned it yet in this episode, but I love getting to a point where I'm grateful for my struggles. And even in the most overwhelming of moments, I just know there's so much. so, I was just trying to think of the word I was going to say. So much constructive goodness, in those moments of struggles, because I've just been through that loop so many times where I know, oh my God, I don't know what's happening. And there's so much fear and uncertainty and a curveball and grief and sadness. But I always come out of that. It's like the cycle of like a phoenix, like burning to the ground, and then you just like this ashes in this rubble, just like I can't even get out of bed, or like I don't even want to exist anymore. And then you just slowly feel this tiny little subtle shift in you, and then you start rising from the ashes like a phoenix, like a little Baba phoenix, and then you like have learnt all your lessons and you move forward. So that was a random little tangent, but this is basically what I want to say is there's so much to learn about your struggles, but the last thing I'm going to mention on this episode, because you're going to get back to your lives, is the importance of slowing down. I think we're always in such a rush, as I keep mentioning, this overstimulating in society that we live in, but we're always in such a rush to get to the lesson, to get to the end of the struggle. Of course, we don't want to feel icky, and we don't want to feel grief and sadness and confusion and loneliness and heartache and all of those things that have just been so prominent for us in the last 2 years. Of course, we don't want to feel that, but it's about finding that balance and that middle ground of embracing the process. And if you don't slow down, you're not creating space for you to actually think straight. If you're not slowing down, you're not allowing yourself time to process what's happened. Just say you've lost a job, or had a death in the family, or you've got financial stress or a health scare. Like, obviously, like I said, we're freaking walking around with masks on our faces for that long every single day, having these fear mongering habits, like that we're just seeping into us and dysregulating our nervous system. And if you don't slow down to process how that makes you feel walking through the shopping center, seeing everyone's face covered, does that make you feel safe? Does that make you feel anxious? Does that make you feel fearful? Like, you need to slow down to process how this weird series of events that have shown up in the last 2 years, how they are coming up for you. How are you processing them? You also need to slow down to grieve. You may have lost, like I said, a job, or you might have actually lost a human being that you love. Like, have you slowed down to grieve? Like, if there's days you just want to stay in bed, please just do that. Just stay in bed. Like, you can scroll through social media or chat to friends, and there's just this like push and this hustle culture, and I get really really triggered by it, and I'm really really nervous about it because absolutely there's times where you need to pull your finger out and get stuff done. But if you're actually grieving something, dealing with some really heavy emotions, please slow down. Please allow some solitude to actually process that, because by allowing that, you will then come to the next phase of having the energy and the inspiration and the motivation to pick yourself up out of bed and keep going. So, the importance of slowing down is to grieve. And that's such a process that people try to skip over and suppress. And there's such a plethora of things that can go on there, bad things that can go on there if you're going to suppress your emotions and your experience and your grief. So please slow down to grieve if you have had situations in your life, like maybe the end of a relationship, or like I said, losing a job or something like that. Just grieve. Grieve even the freedom that we had prior to this pandemic, because life is never going back to normal. If you need to grieve a past version of yourself or a past life that you had, just slow down and do that too. We also need to slow down to allow emotions and feelings to come up. And this is a process for me that's been, I've like, oh wow, this is so amazing. I've carved out time to like soothe my emotions. And then it's like I open the floodgates a little bit, and then all of these emotions come through. And I've just learned to really surrender to, my emotions will come in waves and I can't control when they come up. I can't just carve out half an hour before work to have a cry and then feel great. Sometimes you will, but I've also learned in the last few years, sometimes you won't. Sometimes you could start something and then feel crap for 3 more days, but you just need to, the way to navigate that process is, as I mentioned, to slow down. And you need to slow down to have that compassionate, empathetic self awareness every single moment. Like, if you are grieving, if you are struggling, if you are going through something tough, you need to slow down and literally live every moment, moment to moment, because you can't plan ahead. You can't pull yourself out of that gutter right now. Just please live moment to moment and allow the emotions and feelings to come up. So, take some time off work, take a mental health day, ask your friends, please respect, as I mentioned in the previous episode about boundaries, please respect my need for some solitude. I just need to process right now, and know that those friends will be there for you when you come out of your little emotional pit or your cave. Like, we just run around in this society so terrified to actually just lean in to the emotions and the grief and just feel it. So allowing time to slow down and do that is really important. And then the last reason it's really important, and one of the biggest lessons I've learned through my struggles in the past few years, is you need to slow down to find some peace and some acceptance with what's happened, with, say, the curveball or the uncertainty or the fear, etc. And then when you've found this space of peace and acceptance, then you will start coming up with solutions of like, okay, I lost my job. How do I get a new job? Or how do I get income? Or how do I keep focusing on my happiness and get income coming in, etc.? All of these questions. But until you slow down, you will not come up with the solutions. I promise you. You may come up with some like solutions, but they won't be aligned. They won't be nourishing. They won't be sustainable. You need to be filling up your cup first. So, filling up your cup means prioritizing yourself, developing your emotional intelligence, and slowing down. I know it may seem so resistant to slow down right now, but it's just, the acceptance is key to navigating tough times, and reducing your suffering as much as possible, because it's when we don't accept what's going on and we don't slow down and allow it to process that we we don't have the energy to dig ourselves out of our hole eventually. Like, it's okay if you need to fall into an emotional pit, fall into it, and I guarantee you, as soon as you surrender to it and accept it, you will have more energy and more clarity and more solutions than you ever could have had suppressing that experience and trying to push through to the next thing. But that's what happens when you're in survival mode, is you just click into keep going, but that's actually the most damaging thing you could be doing right now. So just remember to be patient with the process, and your resistance to what's happening in the tough times and the hard times is actually probably causing the suffering more than the hard times. And as I mentioned earlier in the episode, it's not about going out and trying to avoid the hard times or ignore them, etc. It's about really honing in on the only thing you have power about or over right now is your response to it. So if that's resonating with you right now, like, oh shit, I might be resisting that struggle that I'm going through, the resistance is what's causing you the suffering, not actually the experience, okay? Like, suffering is just part of life, but we have that choice to navigate the level of suffering, and the level of suffering is also about not fearing emotions, because it's okay. They're just an experience. They're just temporary. All they're asking for is to be honored so they can be released. So if you've been fighting back tears or fighting back anger or whatever, please, as soon as you can, carve out time to have some solitude or find a safe space that might be with other people around you or in nature, etc., and just let that come up, because if you're suppressing it, you're also turning off the tap to your life force energy, and you will not come up with solutions, and you will not come up with the energy to keep moving forward. So you will get there in two ways, but the way I'm suggesting to you is more intuitive and more comfortable and more sustainable and more natural, because you're developing your emotional intelligence and you're not scared of struggles and you're not scared of your emotions, because they're just part of life, and they're an incredible tool for growth and discovery, discovery, as I always mention. So I hope all of that I've just mentioned so far resonates with you if you are going through a hard time. That's just personally how I've navigated my experiences in my life, and up until, but I've just never had to utilize all of this stuff so much and so frequently over the past 2 years. So that's why I just keep mentioning this period of time, because these are things I've always used through life. But holy shit, it's like you just got to have them on speed dial, like every single day at the moment. And yeah, it's just about embracing what's coming up for us right now, because there's so much going on a collective, personal and collective level, and they're all linked, and we're all connected, and we're all in this together. So yeah, I hope all of that I've just mentioned has resonated with you. If you're going through a hard time, I feel you, I see you, I'm here for you. All right, I'm just going to wrap up this episode by giving you some tips and hints about how to navigate emotional overwhelm. Because obviously, if we're going through a hard time, we're feeling very triggered, we're going into new territory, we might be experiencing grief or sadness, it might be the end of something, mourning a past experience, mourning the loss of an actual person or something. And we need to learn how to navigate emotional overwhelm. It will help us develop our emotional intelligence and just feel more empowered to navigate every experience in life, because everyone can shout from the rooftops about how powerful they are in the good times, but it's not many people have the vulnerability and the courage to step into that vulnerability and that emotional experience with openness and with grace. So I hope these tips will help you feel more inclined to lean into any emotional overwhelm you're experiencing. So firstly, your breath is your easiest gateway to regulating your nervous system. And as I mentioned earlier in the episode um, about the animals, like we have tough times, like a gazelle, ourselves, an ant, a caterpillar. Everyone has a tough time, but it's so important to create these pockets of stillness in between the tough times to help regulate your nervous system, because again, that's going to be energizing, and that's going to help you come up with solutions, and that's going to help you find some peace in the situation. So your breath is your easiest gateway to regulate your nervous system. And bonus points for putting your phone down, finding some solitude, getting into nature, and taking some deep belly breaths. That will help you regulate your nervous system. That will help you soothe your emotions. It will help you honor your emotions and just really create that beautiful mind, body, emotional, soul connection, that holistic intelligence connection. So, your breath is your easiest gateway. It's the thing you have control of. I literally, actually, before the pandemic, I was going through a really heartbreaking breakup. And it was one of those relationships where it's like, yeah, we're going to be together forever. And then all the cracks start appearing and then you break up. And it wasn't like, you have a big fight with that person, like, I never want to see you again. You broke my heart. It was one of those like really sad breakups. And I had to keep going to work every day, obviously, to earn my bills and stuff like that. So, I was able to have a few mental health days and just help myself process it. But I had to go back to work. I and that's one of the things I'm so grateful for now running my own business is that whenever I'm going through a period of emotional overwhelm, I actually can just check out and my business is still growing and flowing. So, little side note about entrepreneurship and a little like little celebration of that. But previous years, I was going through a breakup. I was still working in the traditional workplace, and as we all know, going through some emotional overwhelm, like there's no there's no schedule or timetable for when these emotional overwhelm and overflows come. And I had I had a busy desk working in admin, and I'm like completely just falling apart. And I remember realizing the only thing I had control of in that moment was my breath. And that was the only thing that could help me stay calm because I couldn't walk away from the desk and have a little cry in the bathroom. I could do that later. But in that particular moment, it was so profound for me. And I was like, the only thing you have power of right now, Zoe, is your breath. And I started taking really deep breaths because no one can stop you breathing. um, really deep belly breaths in and out, and just brought myself back to the present moment. And I was able to navigate and soothe that emotional overwhelm, even in a busy workplace. So I just wanted to mention that for anyone who feels like, oh, but I can't soothe those emotions because I'm working or I've got kids and things like that. Your breath is your gateway to regulating your nervous system because you can breathe while you're driving, while you're cooking, while you've got a kid screaming in the background, while you've got a manager asking what you to do where you've got 50 phones going off at work. You can always breathe. You can always have power over how deep you breathe. And the deeper you breathe, bring that breath really deep into your belly, and you can start regulating your nervous system and honoring your emotions and soothing your emotions and creating that emotional body connection. And it's just really beautiful. So that's one first tip to help you navigate emotional overwhelm. Um, as you begin to regulate your nervous system, more emotions may come up, but it's just about surrendering the need to control the outcome of the overwhelm. So, as I mentioned, I just at that experience when I was having an emotional overwhelm at work as a result of a breakup was I just kept doing deep belly breaths and regulating my nervous systems, and more emotions were coming up. But all I needed to do was do those deep belly breaths until we finished this busy period at work, and I could ask a supportive workmate, I just need to go to the bathroom and like, just fall apart for a little bit. And that's exactly what I did. So it's about surrendering your need to control the outcome of the overwhelm. And I think, people think like, oh, just have a little cry and everything will be fine. And sometimes the cry helps and sometimes it unlocks more, but it's just about surrendering that need to control. Just let it come up because the quicker you honor the emotions, the quicker they can be released and the quicker you can rest your body after that and come back to a stable, calm, happy, optimistic place. And so another way to navigate emotional overwhelm is find your safe space. So your safe space can be solitude because then you don't have the, fear of judgment or rejection, or you're not sharing your energy with someone else. Or a safe place might be going to like a women's circle or a breathwork session or something. And there you might feel comfortable enough to let some emotional overwhelm come up. Or my personal favorite, getting out into nature. So go for a walk, get out into nature and do some non-linear movement, or in your bedroom or at home or wherever you are. So non-linear movement is just having a dance, having a boogie, let your body intuitively move around, and that will help the emotional overwhelm. So you don't have to, there's quite eccentric ways to do that. But if you're just at the start of this, chuck some headphones in, go to a secluded beach, have a walk in the sunshine, and then have your favorite song on, and maybe just do a little boogie or a little twirl while you're walking. If you're worried about people watching you and that's still new to you, to like kind of let your body intuitively flow or show emotions and express emotions in public or around people, experiment with that and get out of your comfort zone in those ways, just like little baby steps. Get out into an unpopulated beach and stuff like that. So, or just for now, if you just want to honor the emotional overwhelm, just do it at home by yourself in solitude, and you don't have to worry about getting out of your comfort zone. Another way to navigate your emotional overwhelm will be journaling. It's amazing. It's an amazing practice when you put pen to paper. You actually get so much clarity about the emotions that you're feeling, and it's not about labeling and understanding the root cause of every emotion and labeling it and understanding how to shift it, etc. But sometimes a journaling practice will really help you get some clarity. So definitely try that. Once you feel like you have honored the emotional overflow or the overwhelm that's come up, and it might be tears, anger, screaming, or not even that eccentric. It might just be like, oh, I was feeling these emotions and now they're gone, and nothing on the external, like no people could walk past you and not even know what you've just been through, sort of thing. So don't, again, it's that need to surrender that control to what the overwhelm looks like. But once you feel like you're coming back to, okay, I think I've honored that. I think I've ridden that wave, that emotional wave. Use sensory experiences to bring yourself back to the present moment. So touch things around you. Like if you're sitting at a desk, touch the wood, take a deep breath. Okay, I'm here. I'm in this moment. I'm touching this desk. Take a deep breath, again, breath. And what are the scents around you? Can you smell, the trees outside? Can you smell someone cooking something downstairs? Can you smell coffee? Can you smell what can you smell? Use your sensory experiences to bring you back to the present moment. Close your eyes and listen. Can you hear cars or trees or birds or a conversation? And just slowly use, again, as I'm going to say the same sentence, but use sensory experiences to bring you back to the present moment, because that will help you ground. That will help you process what you've just been through and just bring you back to the present moment, because it's not always about, once that wave has gone, it's about honoring that wave is gone and then getting back to the present moment and getting on with life, whether that's work, children, even having a nap. If you're in solitude, just have a nap, because navigating emotional overwhelm can really bring up like a physical exhaustion. So yeah. Um, so yeah, that's kind of, I'll wrap that episode up like this now, guys. That wasn't a very well worded sentence, so that's probably a sign I need to get off this. But basically, I hope this has given you a realistic outlook at hard times and what emotional overwhelm is. It's not something to avoid. It's not something to ignore. It's just part of life. And when you start committing to your self mastery journey and understanding all the different facets that help you feel powerful, you will reduce your suffering through those times. So we have to have the lows and we have to have the confusion to really appreciate the highs and be able to find the answers. So it's just about embracing those ebbs and flows of life. Also, I just wanted to do a little shameless plug at the end of the episode, because I've actually created a short empowerment meditation that I feel would help you, if you listen to it every day or when you just need that little empowerment boost. If you plug it in, it's only 8 minutes, so it's nice and short. It can definitely be integrated into your day. Um, you can listen to this and it'll help you understand fear. It'll help you understand patience. It'll help you understand your emotions, etc. And it'll just be that little quiet moment and that little thing that you do for yourself every single day that helps you develop your emotional intelligence. It helps you realize you need to prioritize yourself, helps you realize the process of slowing down. So shameless plug there. I do have an empowerment meditation that I will pop the link for it in the show notes. Or if you follow me on Instagram, at Oasis State, you'll find all the links to my offerings in my bio there. And as well, if this episode has resonated with you and you feel like you need some extra support, I do offer one-on-one empowerment sessions for women. So these sessions, again, another shameless plug, but hey, I just want people that need me to find me. And I'm just so passionate about helping people navigate these kind of things and and tap into all of their facets of power. So that's why I keep saying shameless, because I have no shame about around this little plug. But I do offer one-on-one empowerment sessions for women, and these sessions include a 1 hour Zoom call with me, where we will break down where you're at, where you want to be, where are your blocks at, etc. And it's just this very safe and powerful container for me to feel you, see you, hear you, and then we introduce holistic practices, rituals, meditations, and basically we work together. It's like you having me as your little like jack in a box helper, cheerleader to help you move through something you're struggling with, or maybe you're just feeling disconnected from your power, or you lack in confidence, or you want to get out of your comfort zone. There's so many reasons to do these one-on-one sessions, but if you book in with me, it'll be the hour Zoom call, and then within 24 hours after that Zoom call, I will send you a personalized PDF, which is a recap of our session and outlining any rituals, techniques, mindsets, hacks, etc. Anything we've spoken about in that session, I'll put in the PDF just as a really quick, easy way for you, just a resource for you to go to every time you need to navigate stepping back into your power or confidence or navigating emotional overwhelm. Like whatever you need to talk about in these sessions, I am open to. And I have a plethora of resources to help you step back into a state of confidence, flow, ease, joy, support, success, etc. So anything that you feel like is keeping you away from those things, alignment and joy and ease, I can help you get back on track with that. So, yeah, I'll pop the website link for my one-on-one sessions and that empowerment meditation that I mentioned there as well, purely because they just really tie in with the theme of this episode of learning how to navigate hard times, because we don't have to do this by ourselves, guys. So, yeah, I really hope this episode resonated with you. It's been very empowering for me to record because we're all in this together, basically. So, thank you so much for tuning in. I love you heaps, and I will chat to you on the next episode. Bye.